We had a stat that 74% of consumers are saying they're looking for more personalized offers. So get your own branding out there. When you think about it as a brand, one of your main things is simply to get your name, your logo, your info in front of people's faces. The most opened emails and text messages read are tracking notifications. What an opportunity to just get your name out there or to even upsell with it.
Welcome to Supply Chain Now, the #1 voice of supply chain. Join us as we share critical news, key insights, and real supply chain leadership from across the globe, one conversation at a time.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Scott Luton and Tevin E. Taylor with you here on Supply Chain Now. Hey, Tevin, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Greetings from the great state of Texas.
That is right. Man, cool things going on across Texas, but hey, cool things going on across global supply chain. We've got one of our favorite guests, world travelers, industry leaders back with us here today as we dive into what the latest market research tells us about repeat buyers. We're going to be discussing the science and a little bit of the art of loyalty. We're going to be offering up fresh research that supply chain, e-commerce, and shipping leaders you just got to be aware of. Plus, better yet, we're going to be sharing proven best practices and just what you should be doing based on the data-driven insights, especially if you're a shipper, all that and much, much more. And folks, stay tuned for what I think might be your most actionable learning hour of the day. So Tevin, given your proven track record of making stuff happen in global supply chain in Texas and beyond, I'm looking forward to your insights here today. Should be a good one, huh?
It'll be a really good one. Looking forward to diving into the facts and the numbers.
Facts, not feelings, folks, as the one and only Corinne Bursa likes to say. All right, Tevin, did you have your Wheaties this morning? You cranked up, ready to go?
Oh, man, I'm fasting, so I'm going to be hungry. Let's go.
Okay. All right, let's welcome in one of our favorite repeat guests, Lori Boyer, Director of Content with EasyPost and host of the wonderful podcast that better be on your radar, Unboxing Logistics. Let's bring in Lori. Hey, Lori, you're back by popular demand. How you doing?
I'm doing so good. I didn't know Tevin was fasting. So now, Scott, you and we got to bring the energy for Tevin to fuel him.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Lori, yes, we're going to keep the energy going and we're going to lift Tevin up. We got a lot of great stuff to get into here today. Let's start with this. You have been traveling the world. I'm so jealous. I'm green with envy. Oh. And I want to start with this incredible European trip that you and members of your family took recently. Tell us more, Lori.
Okay, so my dad has had this dream trip. All of our family basically immigrated to the United States. The last one who came was in like 1850s. So we've been here in the U.S. forever. But my dad is really into like family history and genealogy. And so he has always wanted to go visit the places his ancestors immigrated from. Most of them came from the UK, from England specifically. So he and I went on this 2.5-week trip, took my daughter, and we went to visit just a bunch of places to walk in the steps of our ancestors and to kind of see what life was like for them. It was super fun.
Wow. Okay. So let's share, Lori, again, so jealous. We're going to have a whole show set aside for all of your learnings and experiences. Let's start with this
slideshow.
Oh, we need a whole slideshow, like good old days. Now, this is, I think, your daughter and your father. And tell us where you are.
So here we are at Normandy in France. And this is at the U.S. cemetery there from, the great battle there. And it was really, really cool. And we did a whole day of just took a tour on Normandy, learned all about that. It was really interesting how much more present World War II seemed to be in the day-to-day life or, here was bombing or this is where Germans had, strongholds. Than here in the U.S. And even though we were in World War II, it wasn't in our backyard. It wasn't in our land. So it was just really interesting to see.
Wow. Okay. All right. From Normandy to something on a lighter note, tell us about where you are here.
Yeah. So here we are in the catacombs underneath the city of Paris. Under Paris, there's 200 miles of catacombs just filled with the bones of people from over an 800-year period. And it was so cool, Tevin. You got to go to that one.
Oh
I resisted. There were a lot of rules about not touching the bones. And I felt this overwhelming urge to touch the bones, but I did not. And then they check your bag when you leave to make sure you didn't steal any.
Really? Oh my gosh.
So
Right.
catacombs, really cool, nice and creepy.
And then this one's got a special story. Tell us more here, Lori.
Yeah, so this is one of the ancestors. Obviously, this is the parent of one who had immigrated over. And so we kind of went to all these little tiny towns throughout the UK and a couple over in France. And what we did was we went and we found some of the censuses actually listed addresses. So we were able to find a couple of the actual houses still standing. We were able to go to the churches where they got married that are still there. And we went to the pubs that would have been there when they were there. And so, yeah, there's a Jane Bagley, one of our ancestors there, and found her tombstone in one of the cemeteries. So that was super cool.
Okay. So Tevin, I got to get you to respond. As I mentioned, I'm green with envy like that tombstone. Tevin, what was the coolest thing you heard there from Lori?
And the whole thing, I mean, that's kind of on my bucket list. I've been to Ireland. I've traveled the world, but it was always for business. But to go to Normandy to live and feel that, I mean, we've got a veteran that worked with us, John Wayne Walding, and he always takes veterans over to go experience what you experience. But that's got to be humbling just to experience that, right?
No doubt.
It makes you so grateful. Really makes you just so grateful. Like, wow, we take for granted so many things. So yeah, it was
so true. Well, yeah, and gratitude isn't only for the month of November. It should be year round, given all the sacrifices so many before us have made. Okay, so we got a lot to get into here today. Lori, we've enjoyed your visits with us this year. I love the data, always a data-focused angle you take to all of your expertise and perspective. For our new audience members, let's just make sure they understand a little bit about yourself and the cool things that EasyPost does, kind of in a nutshell. Tell us more.
Yeah. Okay. Lori Boyer. I oversee all our content at EasyPost. What that basically means is I love data. I'm a nerd, but I also love storytelling. And so it's kind of the perfect meld of understanding the data and understanding the story and how it all fits together. And so that's what I get to do all the time, is kind of figure out what's going on in the industry. What are the latest trends? What is the latest data? And then what are we actually seeing from people and how is that fitting into their lives? So love being able to help people. EasyPost, here you can see, is kind of all-in-one shipping technology that really helps brands and shippers be able to make shipping from the moment somebody purchases until they get their return, they get their package, make it really easy and make it just smooth, with labels, rates, tracking, all the good stuff that you need.
Meaning, Tevin, and I've learned this through all of my conversations with Lori and the gang, because EasyPost has been on a move. We got to ship like it's 2025, not like it's 1985. Tevin, would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Obviously, we use EasyPost and they make it easy for us, and it's a plug and play for our business. So
yes. Yeah. Love it. So as Lori mentioned, I'm also a fellow nerd. So me and Lori may be second cousins. Who knows? We'll have the
probably
journey. But I want to start with the latest data, right? So Lori, you've dove in. I think y'all conduct research at EasyPost. You've dove into other research. What's happening with consumers right now when it comes to experience? Tell us, what does the data tell us?
Okay, I'm kind of obsessed with customer data and figuring out what the heck we're supposed to do. So I've compiled just the latest studies, the most recent data that's come out. And there's a couple of things that I've noticed that are standing out. So first, customers who have the best experiences will spend about 140% more than those with poor experiences. That's huge. 6 times more likely to stick around, be a good, loyal customer. And loyal customers are what we all want. They are so valuable. They're worth so much more than a new customer. But there's a few other things. For the first time, we're seeing that the actual purchasing experience is carrying as much weight as the actual product. So 80% of customers are saying today the experience matters to them as much as the product itself. We're seeing the majority in 2025 of people have stopped buying from a brand this year because they had a bad experience. So that's huge. I have to say that what customers say is a bad experience. Sometimes we're a little picky, but then one more thing in November, fresh data, we're talking about baby egg just broke, data from the latest data, reliability and flexibility outrank free shipping when it comes to loyalty. Okay, so when you're looking specifically at shipping, of course, everyone wants free, but they really want reliability and flexibility. And this last one that I think is massive, and I can't wait to hear Tevin and Scott what you think about this, but customers will hold the brand responsible for the entire shipping experience. That entire experience. So I had an experience myself recently. I had bought a brand new furniture piece, beautiful, and I was really excited for it. It arrived at my house, and I'm like, trying to get it all put together. So excited. It was going to make my fall look so good. It was kind of this fireplace thing, but it was broken when it arrived. And I was devastated. And I called the company and they said, well, it was not broken when it left our warehouse. So you need to deal with the carrier. And I was like, what? What? I don't know how to deal with a carrier. And I'm not even sure I remember who shipped it. And we can't do that. It's just hard. It's not fair. I'm sure it was the carrier's fault. But again and again, people say they hold the brand, they hold the shipper responsible. Unfortunately, 63% of companies actually kind of hand off that whole experience to someone else, the carrier usually, but it could be third parties as well. So that's kind of our data we're seeing. It's super, super, super important, even more than it has been in the past. And yeah, with today, the way the economy is, it's really important for us to make sure we're getting it right.
That's right. That is what a great starting point for this discussion here, Lori. You brought it like you always do. So Tevin, there's so much there to comment on. I don't know about you, but I've got my own notes. But I want to pick up on one of our last points Lori shared there. You pass off the ownership of the experience at your own peril. Mm-hmm. And if any folks with brands and shipping organizations, the shippers out there, man, they got to take that away from this conversation. But what'd you hear there, Tevin, and some of your own thoughts in terms of some of the data points and drivers out there?
Well, it makes me think at Amazon a little bit, but we're in a hyper competitive position. Everyone is. So if you have substitution where someone can switch and go somewhere else because they had a bad experience, you need to control and own the whole experience. Amazon does that today with their delivery drivers and being the shipper. It's funny when she brought up reliability and flexibility, if people are willing to give up free shipping, it makes me think of like Uber Eats and DoorDash. It's like I always thought it was crazy people would actually pay extra money to have food delivered, but that gives them the flexibility not to have to go fight a crowd, not to go into town, whatever. So yeah, it makes sense to me that competitive nature and landscape has changed. So you do have that experience of the transportation is tied to the shipper, not necessarily to the carrier.
Tevin, excellent points. And I got to say, I'll admit this here, and Tevin's going to think less of me. I use Uber Eats, and I pay.
I do too. I do too.
Good.
You're too old to do that. No.
But to your point, it's that convenience factor.
Yes.
And even better yet, how consumers and what they value. Lori's saying it. Both of y'all are saying it really. That experience, the research also shows that as long as you can deliver a 5-day delivery time commitment on time, that is better than promising 2 days and it being 1 day late.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Those commitments we're making, or in this case, in your example, Lori, that the carriers, our wonderful carrier partners are making, brands, we're going to be held accountable. And I tell you, Lori, that was so to hear your experience and how they kind of completely put it off on the carrier. That's disappointing. And I would argue that's probably, when you're out there, because consumers or practitioners, that probably runs counter to the prevailing way things are evolving. Would you agree with that, Lori?
Yeah, absolutely. I was very shocked by that. So yeah, just the fact that they started that way, I was so shocked by that. I think in general, we're kind of getting the idea the consumer doesn't really care who ships their stuff. They don't care which label you're using. They don't care. They just care that it, like Scott says, it arrives when you said it was going to arrive and in the condition that you want it in, and that you create a great experience. And I had to say, I am never going back to that company again.
Yes. Well, and that's you know what? I bet all of us, I know I can really relate to what you just shared there. We're living proof of a lot of the data you just shared. But maybe the best stuff, as good as this is, the best is to come, because Lori's going to give us advice for shippers everywhere. So you can protect that brand promise and those brand commitments. Tevin, your thoughts. Are you leaving? Have you left brands based on bad experiences?
Shockingly, I have. And the one I brought up was Amazon. I didn't leave the brand. I left the person selling the product because they split my order. But, that experience, like if you have that experience, bad news is something you remember. And especially with my wife, like she is disappointed in something being split. It's like, we're not going to use them again. We're not going to do that again. We all go through that, right? And we have options out there to again, there's substitution. Omni-channel gives you the ability to buy the same thing from somewhere else, more than likely, or something that's very similar. So yeah, we've left brands before because the shipping experience and the delivery experience didn't meet the expectation.
A lot of folks can probably say the same thing. So 3 quick thoughts. Number 1, it's a shame that bad news screams louder than good news, but that's kind of the world we live in, right? And that's part of the threat and part of the why that we got to lean into better ways of doing things, which leads to number 2. Folks, the great thing is, and you're going to hear from Lori here in a minute, there's technology out there. EasyPost, if you don't get your help from EasyPost, get it somewhere. But there's a better way, it's an easier way to put all the hardworking team members that want to deliver on the brand promise and put them in a better position every day to do that. So stay tuned for that. And then lastly, delight after delivery. It matters. Mm-hmm. And quick thing there. So I don't buy clothes very often, but I bought a couple of coats here recently from the same retailer in different orders, right? And in both cases, the post-buy communication, especially the survey, they sent it way too prematurely. They were asking me about the coats before I even had a chance to take it out of the package. So make sure, I think one other thing here, because folks really want to give that feedback. There's data out there for that as well. Just make sure your communication is synced up so that comes at the right time when the customer is more willing and in a better position to give you that actionable feedback. It's really critical. Lori, comment there on that delight after delivery matters. Is that what you're saying?
I want to say as well. So we talk about this negative experience, something, it arrived broken. One of the cool things about a negative experience like that is it's also proven to be one of the ways that you can actually stand out the most is the way you respond to it. So if you just get it and it came and you expected it, that's just an average experience. That's what you expect, is that it arrives on time. If it doesn't, and you have some sort of mishap, but the company comes out of its, oh my goodness, Lori, I can't believe that was broken. I am immediately getting on this, sending it to you, and here is a $50 credit. Please take that as an apology. That now becomes a better experience in the eyes of the consumer than just that average it showed up. So a negative issue with delivery or returns or tracking can actually turn into a positive experience, even more than just it going through the way it's supposed to, which is how, 99% of things hopefully go. It is a good point to bring up that when we're looking at carriers, so EasyPost works with pretty much every carrier you could ever name, and then 16 your Aunt Edna told you about. But there are a lot of different factors you should look at when you're looking at carriers. Some of them may be the speed. Some of them may be the experience that's provided. Some of them may be the cost. Those all come into play. And I think it's important for us to keep all of those in mind when we're selecting carriers.
Lori, excellent point. And Tevin, you've spent a ton of your career in logistics and making stuff happen and protecting these brand commitments. Your quick comments there.
Yeah, look, like what she said about the reaction to issues is important as the issue itself. But if you can wow the customer and make it better, I mean, we've all done that where you have that experience, a gift card, hey, we'll give you the product for free. Then you're like, okay, they made up for it. It made it better. Let's go, right? So own that experience all the way through.
Yep. $1 million, maybe $1 billion advice there from both Lori and Tevin. Okay. So Lori, as much as I like that first segment, I love the second segment because it's like we're offering some of the why, and then we're offering straightforward ways, actionable ways that folks can act on it. So let's dive into what shippers need to do with all these insights. I think we're going to tackle 3 at a high level and then dive in deeper, right?
Yeah, you bet. So to me, this is my favorite part because I think it's super critical that when you come on any of these kind of webinars, if you go listen to somebody in person, if you're listening to the podcast, anything like that, you need to have actionable things you're coming away with and knowing, okay, yeah, I know that it's hard, but like, what the crap am I supposed to do? So first of all, what even is that experience? It's what research shows, it's made up of 3 different segments. So once somebody hits buy, they are looking at tracking. Okay, so what is happening with my package, transparency, understanding where their package is. The next step is the actual package arriving. Did it arrive on time? Was it broken? Is it the product I ordered? That kind of experience. And then the third section is the returns process. If I do have a problem with it, what does that look like? So those are kind of the 3 elements. And I want to kind of dig into each one of those to talk about the best practices around how to manage it. And encourage you really kind of to not hand that off to someone else. As we mentioned earlier, you need to own this 3-prong series. So yeah, love to hear from you guys.
So we're about to dive a little deeper into tracking and claims and returns. And I know all of y'all, regardless of what you do in global supply chain, you're all consumers. But let's take a deeper dive. Let's talk tracking first. So Lori, tell us more there.
Okay, so tracking, it's really, really, really important. The most important thing to people is a clear delivery date. As long as it comes when you say it's going to come, you'll be okay. So you've got to have a clear delivery date. They want proactive end-to-end notifications. What's interesting, one of their favorite notifications, one of the most popular, is that delivered notification.
Yes.
But we are still seeing a third of US biggest retailers don't send that delivered notification. So
really?
Make sure you're sending the delivered notification. Customers should never need to log in. Okay. They want to see a status by email. Email is still the top channel that we're sending, but text message is big. We're seeing fewer than 3 in 10 sending text messages, but that's really what consumers want, is a text message. So if you have the option to send notifications by text message, do it. That's a differentiator for you and can make a big difference. Customers also really like branding, personalization. People are really, we had a stat that 74% of consumers are saying they're looking for more personalized offers. So get your own branding out there. When you think about it, when you send, as a brand, one of your main things is simply to get your name, your logo, your info in front of people's faces. The most opened emails and text messages read are tracking notifications. What an opportunity to just get your name out there or to even upsell with it. But again, predictability beats raw speed every single time. Make sure that you're being accurate. If there's a mishap, be reaching out immediately. Don't just cross your fingers and pray that maybe they won't notice or maybe it'll end up being on time. If they're aware of what's going on and you're keeping them in the loop, they're typically most of the time going to be okay.
Yep. Excellent. Man, you promised a deep dive and we got one from a tracking standpoint. Tevin, your thoughts on what we just heard there from Lori?
I mean, it's table stakes to give the tracking, right? So that's just giving updates, but it's not just giving updates, it's reassurance. And what I'm hearing is tie that reassurance and that confidence and that post-purchase anxiety into a sales opportunity. Personalize it, make it where they see your brand and they feel good about it. Like they know there's reliability because you're giving them proactive communication. So it's crazy that we're talking about this in 2025, but Laura's right. It's not happening everywhere. And whoever can do it best gets that customer loyalty and the repeat buys.
Yes. Well, it's not happening everywhere because one of the reasons probably we're all humans. We cling to how we've always done things, right? Yeah. And we've got to have powerful, robust technology to enable a lot of these things and really make it easy. Lori, one of the times you joined us this year, we talked a lot about the whole WiMo thing. I'll probably come out in a minute. Rather than put the where is my stuff updates on the very busy, valuable human component, we can automate that stuff, right?
Absolutely.
And automate the inbounds, automate the updates. I think the other really important thing you said beyond, and you shared a lot. I'm trying to keep up with you note-wise, but I'm reading my chicken scratch and I'm failing. The delivery notifications, that's really valuable. But even better yet, is something you shared there, don't make your customers log in. That happened to me just yesterday. You get a text message sometimes, you click on the link, it takes you to a login on your the web app or whatever. Man, there's a better seamless way of making that happen.
Yeah, I love how Tevin said as well, like it's 2025. And I constantly, as I'm getting the latest data, I'm like, how are we still at this point? I feel like we should be at a point where it is that seamless, because there is a lot of great technology. I want to say too, when Tevin was talking about using it as a marketing experience, I talked with one of our customers here recently who was doing so good with that. In their messages, they were sending additional like upsell opportunities. They were sending like discount codes. They were trying out a bunch of different things with them. They at EasyPost. So if you're an EasyPost customer, hi, I love you. You got to look at our advanced tracking. So we have regular tracking, just basic API, but the advanced tracking is a new feature we have, and the customer was using this. It allows all that branded experience for you to own it. But they were seeing huge gains by, it's basically almost a marketing opportunity because people are opening it and they're like, oh, yeah, maybe let me check this out too, or being able to send deals. Scott, you mentioned WiMo. We see generally with our tracking that the WiMo calls go down about 61%. Service costs go down 23%. You get great ROI moments simply just from tracking. At EasyPost, it's advanced tracking, an advanced track, but it doesn't have to be from EasyPost. Just make sure you've got technology out there that is giving you real-time tracking information, that you're getting text messages, that you're personalizing it, and that you are the one owning that tracking experience and you're not putting it off to somebody else.
That's right. That is absolutely right. All right. So we really doubled down on tracking, right? Mm-hmm. And with good reason. Let's double down in claims, because this allows us some cool things to take friction and headaches and loss out of the equation, right?
Okay, so yeah, what's interesting in that customer experience, the actual number one most important element is kind of the second step. So tracking is second, even though I listed it first. The most important is the actual package arriving when it's supposed to and in the condition that you want it to arrive. That's what customers look at most. So this is where what I like to say is really, really important for you. Obviously you picked shipping that had an accurate delivery date. It's arrived. What do you do if it's broken? You need to immediately, they want the refund fast. Okay. So you need to be reaching out. You need to be, if you get a notification, you may have gotten a flagged exception in your system. You should be the one first reaching out to them to say, hey, looks like we may have had a mishap, or we've got a lost package. It's worse when they reach out to you. Data shows that again and again. But if they do reach out to you, speed is of the essence. Taking care of the problem really fast, creating really what Tevin mentioned earlier, that really incredible experience through making it right. But I want to say, I get a lot of issues and questions people have around how do I manage that? Claims is a part of the industry that I feel like you guys are missing out on way too often as shippers. So a lot of the big carriers, USPS, FedEx, they offer automatically $100 of built-in insurance when you ship, like Ground Advantage, Priority Mail Express, but it's kind of complicated. So again, if you're an EasyPost customer, we have the most amazing feature that just launched recently. It's called our USPS claims. All you had to do is go into your EasyPost dashboard. Okay, so if you're an EasyPost customer, go into your dashboard, go to the insurance tab, and simply click accept terms and services. With USPS claims, what that does is that EasyPost monitors, and any of the things that come up flagged as lost or damaged, we will automatically file that claim for you and then send you the money. What we see is 60%, because we have all the data in our systems. So 60% of damaged and lost products are not ever getting claimed. People are not looking for that money because it is really, really hard to do. So there is zero risk to you. If, it is so easy. There's no reason, especially. So if you ship USPS, please, and you're at EasyPost, click on that. If you don't use EasyPost, well, come use EasyPost. But if you don't, file those claims yourselves. That is money owed to you hundreds of millions of dollars getting lost every year that we're not taking advantage of because there's built-in insurance. There's also a lot of other insurance things you can do, damage protection, different things that you can make sure that are above and beyond. And you'll want that if you have kind of more high-end products. But I just absolutely had to say, please do your claims. That is so much money that you can get easily.
And hey, if you don't want that money, let me know. I'd love to file the claim for you. All right. Kidding aside, tremendous opportunities. And hey, to Lori's point, if we can automate it, oh my God, get our cake and eat it too. Tevin, we heard a lot of their deep dive into claims and tremendous opportunities out there. Your thoughts?
I think that $100 number has been out there for 20 years. You would think inflation would catch up, then that number wouldn't be $100 still. $100 used to be a lot of money. Nowadays, I'm surprised.
Sending Tevin to Congress. Go get it higher for us, Tevin.
No, so I love the automated idea. Look, it's no longer a back office task. It's a customer experience touch point. Every delay in every manual process and pain you put a customer through adds friction. So smooth it out, build credibility, turn it from a detractor to an advocate, right? The customer experience, that is. So it's an efficiency gain. And this is, Lori's right. People are missing out on this. There's money on the table. If there's an issue with delivery, and it's not just delivery of the product's damage, if it's not delivered on time, there are money back guarantees that you can say, I'm not going to pay for the shipping because you didn't deliver it on time. So You got to look at that too.
Tevin, excellent comments. And I had a dear friend, former co-host with me, that once said this on a podcast interview. And we know that there's a formal science now when it comes to customer experience. It wasn't always like that, right? And Greg said, well, supply chain was the original and still is the original customer experience. And it's so true. And we're illustrating it today via this conversation we're having with Lori and Tevin.
I just want to say that we see 8 billion packages, 2 billion? Oh no, I forgot my stat, that are blind, meaning in the US, people don't know where it is. The shippers themselves, the carriers at some point. It's a huge problem. That transparency, visibility is critical. And that comes down to technology and making sure you're flagging where you are missing out on that visibility.
We talk tracking, we talk claims, all with actionable advice and expertise, both from Lori and Tevin. So let's talk returns. Tell us more, Lori.
Okay, I just had to kick this off. I spoke at a conference on Monday, and one of the segments that we were speaking on was returns. It was a big retail conference, lots of large retailers there. Boy, the returns part of our talk just blew up. People are struggling with returns. I just want to say, even if you are a giant shipper, they are struggling with returns just as much as everyone else. Returns, we're now seeing about 19% of all products are returned, and that's massive amounts of money. Returns, though, are super expensive. And first, let me give you a little bit of background on what we're seeing right now. So some of the questions that I've been getting are, what do I do about my returns policy? How do I offset all these costs? Because returns are so expensive and yet keep a good experience. So I just was speaking with somebody from Blue Yonder. Their most recent study just came out around what consumers expect when it comes to returns. And I was struck by the fact that it said 84% of consumers right now are saying that if you tighten your returns policy, they will leave, even if you are their favorite brand, their favorite one. So we're in an economy right now where it's probably not the best time to try to tighten things up. That being said, returns do not need to be a huge loss issue. It's going to come down to being able to make it easy for the customer. So customers should be able to return really quickly, really easily. There's a lot of different services you can use. If you have really fancy stuff, there are concierge services that will come and pick up that item from them at their house and hand deliver it back. That I've talked to companies that do that. There are some really great things when it comes to reselling and trying to offset those costs that you're getting. You should be tracking. So if you have abusers of the system, you may want to set up slightly different return policies for different kind of segments of people. So there are some who kind of dive in, and there's even what we've found are some actually organized crime kind of scams where they will request a return and expect that maybe your warehouse is overflowing. I spoke with a man at this conference. He came up after and he said, look, I have a warehouse filled with hundreds of thousands of returns that they're just piling up. I literally don't know what to do with them. I don't know how to track them. I don't know what to do with all this stuff. I think it's just going to the landfill. That was another big jump, is consumers are more concerned about returns going to landfills and are more likely now than ever in the past to ask you what you're doing with your returns. So while the process needs to be really easy, we're still at the most part where you're going to want to do free returns. That being said, I do think there are exceptions. If you have some of those kind of people who you can see in your system have been returning frequently, returning all the time, then you may say, like, after a certain number of returns in a year, you're going to start getting charged a return fee. That's totally reasonable. And it helps kind of weed out some of that, repeat offenders. We're seeing some people were telling me that they'll get boxes they open, don't even have the product in them, just in the hope that it's like that friend I spoke to at the conference and you're not looking. So those are okay. I was talking with somebody else who said they recently bought 4 dresses and they were wedding dresses. So she's like, I just wanted to buy them online. And so from 4 different big places, and then she picked them and then she returned. One of the 4 charged a return fee. So just if you're kind of curious where that is, these were big companies that you would know, big department kind of stores. She did say she did feeling pretty annoyed at the one that charged her to return it. But so probably in that case, it was about 75% did not charge, but making sure it's really, really smooth. And then one of the biggest pieces of advice, play offense as a good defense or vice versa. Make sure that you are trying to avoid returns in the first place. Do you have certain products that are frequently getting returned? Do you have the ability for people to look at the description? Do you have customer reviews on there that say, oh, it's a little large, a little small, like you'll see on Amazon? Do you have the ability for people to try things on with cameras? One last point, and then I want to hear more, and we can talk all about returns. I feel like returns is such a huge thing, but I recently interviewed a couple of guys who are really big into the international scenes, international shipping. That's their specialty. And they both said that generally internationally, most returns, they're just leaving as they don't take it back. It's pretty rare that an international shipping is going to be worth the money to bring it back. We are seeing actually a fall in 2025 of the number of companies saying just keep it, because they are saying, okay, I want my stuff back. There are ways to use it. But internationally, that's not true. It's still the vast majority of products you ship internationally end up just saying keep the item. So let's talk about it, guys.
I tell you what, you have set the table. You have set the table, Lori. We've got quite a returns picnic. Tevin, let's go to you first. Your thoughts.
Lori's right. We could talk about this all day long. I mean, look, Tony's done a great job with used to be the Reverse Logistics Association, now it's part of NRF, of really educating and helping people with returns. It should be something that helps with convenience. It's not really a cost measure. That 19% is built in the cost of goods sold, but make it where they're clear instructions. People understand what they're buying, how they're buying it. If you have to do the return, make the refund quick. It's part of your brand. And people do look and say, okay, what's the return policy? I think the window needs to be shrunk down. They need to do a better job of when they get the product back, making sure it is what it is. All the fraudulent activity out there, the bad guys always find ways to put dry ice in a box, whatever. That's always going to happen. But really make a positive return experience, something that helps drive the repurchase and elevate your brand. But you got to have some fence posts around it. If not, then you're going to have to be managing that and it gets out of hand, right?
Tevin, undoubtedly. So I went to an event, Lori and Tevin, in Dallas. Lori, I missed you when I went, and Tevin, I think. And you had some of the leading voices in one room from across reverse logistics and returns management. And Lori, you hit on their number one concern. There was one of the most, there's lots of stuff discussed, but the dominant theme was fraud. And you touched on what some folks call friendly fraud, which most consumers would admit to. It is a growing problem. It's a growing problem. And then to Tevin's point, and Laura, you mentioned the criminal syndicates out there that really is leaning into easy returns policies, and have some highly engineered, complex approaches to make the most. It is also growing like a tidal wave. So expect to hear more about it. Two other quick final thoughts. Automation is really tricky, as Tevin and Lori both know. Although it's growing, we got some technology, automation, AI, you name it, is really growing on the reverse side and returns management side. But there's a bulky aspect of returns, which is really challenging right now. I'm sure we'll overcome it at some point. And lastly, Lori, you touched on internationally. We all have different norms. One of the leading voices that I heard from talked about Japan. And the reason Japan doesn't have nearly the returns issue that we have in the States is because they have not created a mindset like we have here, where return everything, where it becomes such a competitive differentiator. That's what's helping fuel this tidal wave of challenges. So the good news, though, Lori and Tevin, we have tremendous opportunities to not only delight the customer in forward and reverse, but also mitigate and hopefully bring down the tidal wave of returns. We shall see. All right, so Lori and Tevin, I wish we had another hour. We got to make sure a couple things here. Number one, Lori, you've really laid out the value proposition, and I really appreciate how you have. You're talking about what EasyPost does, but you're also talking about the opportunity that folks got to be getting from their technology provider that helps optimize their shipping. If folks want to lean into EasyPost and start working with y'all today, how can they make that happen?
So you can always go to easypost.com. You can reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. Happy to connect with anyone. I love connecting with people and learning. I think we have a few things that we shared around our advanced tracking, our guard. That's where the USPS claims, if you want to learn about that and learn more. These are two things I really love for this time of year, because making a lot of big changes in November is a little scary for people. But things like tracking and claims, you can do those right now, and it's not going to impact anything crazy. Nothing, your systems aren't going down. You don't need all these kinds of crazy integrations. So EasyPost has an array. Really, I like to say we handle it from the minute that they sell, and even a little bit before, all the way through until they want to buy again. And so go in, check it out, ask questions. I'd love to chat with any of you about EasyPost. If not EasyPost, please be using some technology. With the complexity we have in our industry with these things like returns, claims, you can see why people just sometimes are like, I'm not doing it because it's so complicated. But there is technology to make it easier. So make sure you're doing that.
Lori, so true. And folks, easypost.com. You can also connect with Lori and check out the great content and leadership perspective that she drops out across social. Make sure you do that. All right. And Tevin, really quick, I think it's important to note that if you don't get your help from EasyPost, get your help from somewhere. And the point that Lori mentioned, it's really non-invasive. That might be more of a surgical term than a supply chain term. But the way EasyPost works, folks can get started today. I know we're already in peak and we got the holidays upon us, but you can also start getting value today. It's not a big, as Lori mentioned, not a big integration, losing months, systems going down, figuring stuff out, and then you get a return a year later. It's nothing like that. Tevin, your quick thoughts.
Yeah, I think it was Jeff Bezos that said humans are inherently lazy. So they make their claims process a little difficult. It's not really difficult, but they make it difficult enough where it's like, it's not worth my time. So EasyPost bridges that gap and makes it easy to actually file claims and manage. So that's on the claims side. The tracking side, again, table stakes. You have to be tracking, updating, giving people that level of credibility and support.
That's right. And we didn't even talk about, Lori, I wish I had thought about this on the front end as you were kind of laying out the case for the why. I was just talking about this on the Buzz on Monday. Americans alone lost $15.7 billion in stolen packages in 2024 due to mainly porch pirates. And retailers only covered $6.5 billion in refunds. So, folks, now's the time. Optimize how we ship. Don't let that be your customers.
Wow, I'm surprised by that, Scott. That's an interesting stat. Yeah, always get my attention if you get a good stat.
I try. I work really hard to get Lori's approval around here, folks.
That's right.
All right. So, Lori, beyond the cool things you're doing, you and the team are doing to help optimize shipping and give folks more success and a better ability to delight customers. I'm a big admirer of your podcast, which we got to touch on, right? Unboxing Logistics. All right. So tell us, and there's a lot to choose from. I'm picking out the last 6 episodes that you see right in front of you. What is one of your favorite recent Eureka moments from the podcast?
Oh, God, there's been some really good ones. Okay, if I was going to do a couple of things, I'm stealing 2, Scott, don't be mad. One of them is I interviewed somebody earlier this year who was going over consumer data when it comes to purchasing. And one of the things that stood out to me was that they said, we see again and again, the studies show that people say that they don't want to, that they're going to stop buying, but the actual data has not yet shown that they're doing that. And so that one just stood out to me because of the fact that I love data, but sometimes what the data shows, our actions don't always follow. Maybe we know we're not supposed to be buying, but we do anyway. So I think it's important to keep an eye on both what people are saying and what has actually happened. And then I also, that one you just showed on the end, we did this great episode on neurodiversity. Super fascinating topic where I think it's 63% or something of people in supply chain are neurodivergent, almost double other industries. Super interesting. And so we went through and talked with a couple of experts on this topic and how to do that. It was just a really interesting and kind of different topic. So loved that. Go check that one out.
Love it. Hey, it's important that we kind of go off-road and not tread the same old ground just like today. Touched on AI a couple times. Yeah, AI is a big part of EasyPost, but we touched on a lot of things beyond. Yeah. So well done, Lori and Tevin. Tevin, don't go anywhere because I've got to get your patented key takeaway from the whole conversation here today. Tevin, that's going to be that might be the toughest question of the whole day. All right, let's do this. We got some great resources. I want to start with this. We've got an ebook, What the WiMo? Where's my stuff, right? Where's my stuff at? Help me finish that acronym, Lori. Stop.
Yeah. Where is my order?
That's what it is.
So lots of tips for making sure your visibility is good.
Folks, check it out. Great ebook. It's easy to download too. I look for that in ebooks, white papers, you name it. I hate when you've got to go through 27 steps.
Yeah.
This is easy. So what the WiMo, how to stop visibility gaps from stealing your revenue. Because don't we all hate a thief? I know I do. Secondly, we got a great one pager. Hey, gosh, I wish I could talk more succinctly in one page fashion these days. Well, this one's focused on the advantages of real-time tracking, notifications, estimated delivery dates, and a whole bunch more, because you can bet your bottom dollar that your customers want to know. And just like we established here today, just like all of us know as consumers, right? And I would challenge you, think like you're it's important to put our consumer mindset on, even if we work in supply chains practitioners. That really helps that outside the 4 walls perspective. Okay, Sheriff Taylor, we're coming to you. You've really dropped some golden. You and Lori both have really backed up the truck, as Jake Barr would say, and dropped some golden nuggets on us here today. Actionable gold nuggets. Tevin, what one thing, if folks forget everything else, and we're humans, we have a very short attention span. If we forget anything else, what's the one big thing, Tevin, that folks got to keep front and center?
Well, first, I'm just sad that I've never been on Lori's podcast.
Got to have you on, Tevin.
There you go. It's a very simple sentence. It's the customer experience doesn't end at delivery. Everything we've talked about, it just doesn't end at delivery. So, you got to own tracking, resolve claims, and then turn returns into a brand moment. So customer experience doesn't end at delivery. So that's what I'd sum up today's podcast with.
I love it. Don't stop there. Don't fall into that traditional trap. You get the order out the door and your job's done. Don't fall into that. And by the way, we put Lori's LinkedIn out there, and of course, EasyPost.com. We also encourage you to connect with Tevin. We dropped Tevin's LinkedIn there as well as how to find and subscribe to Supply Chain Now wherever you get your podcast. So, all right, good stuff. Tevin E. Taylor, good stuff. Lori B. Boyer. Lori, folks can connect you via LinkedIn. Anything else you want to throw out there? I know you speak, do a lot of keynoting, do a lot of traveling, getting out in the industry, which I love. Anything else you want to throw out there? A great way of where folks can find you?
Yeah, I'm speaking at different shows, but come watch the podcast, join our community there. They're fantastic. Love to connect with you on LinkedIn and hear more from you, or, suggested of things that you want to learn. So if you don't want to do all the data nerdy stuff, that's what I like to do for fun. Shoot me a messenger and be like, can you please do an episode on blank? Happy to do so. just reach out, connect. I feel like relationships in this industry are super, super critical and really powerful for helping make change.
Well said. Well said. Always a pleasure. Folks, see why we love having Lori on and Tevin on. I tell you, we're going to have to send them all out on a world tour, maybe get the Black Crows to open for them.
Oh, good.
But regardless, Lori Boyer, Director of Content with EasyPost, also host of the great podcast, Unboxing Logistics. Lori, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's been fantastic. I wish we had another hour.
Me too. We're going to make that happen. And Tevin E. Taylor, really appreciate all of your insights here and expertise, as well as the great things you're doing out in the industry. Thanks for being here, Tevin.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
We love hearing from you. Big thanks for tuning in. But y'all know you've got homework. And Lori brought, man, goodness, I got 7 pages of notes over here, actionable key takeaways. You got to take one, just one thing from Lori or Tevin here today. Put it in action. Tell it with your team. Scream it, preach it, shout it from the mountaintops. We got a lot of change that we got to do in this industry. So with all that said, and we know that deeds, not words, is the only way we'll change it. But with all that said, on behalf of the whole team here at Supply Chain Now, Scott Luton challenging you, do good, give forward, be the change that's needed. We'll see you next time right back here on Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.
Join the Supply Chain Now community for more supply chain perspectives, news, and innovation. Check out supplychainnow.com, subscribe to Supply Chain Now on YouTube, and follow and listen to Supply Chain Now wherever you get your podcasts.